Welcome to the Boardroom. On our episode today, bouncing back, Michigan heads up to Minnesota to try to recover from that loss 2 weeks ago against Michigan State. And concern in the crease, the Michigan hockey team is off to a 3-0-1 start, but can't make their minds up on a netminder. And finally, the German giant, Moritz Wagner, the Michigan freshman from Berlin. Is he the real deal? Welcome to the Boardroom. Simon Kaufman alongside Zach Shaw and Max Boltman. Let's start on the gridiron. A big off week following the Michigan State game. They're going up to Minnesota, and announced on Wednesday, Coach Kill stepping down from his role because of health problems. How is that going to affect this game?
Well, it's going to add some emotion for the Golden Gophers, to be sure. Jerry Kill's been there a while. Since 2011, had health problems pretty much all the way through. Seizures in 2011, 12, 13. Finally had a healthy year last year, and he was Big Ten Coach of the Year. Obviously losing a coach is an emotional thing, but look for the Gophers to sort of step up and play this one for Coach Kill.
Yeah, I think there'll be an increase in emotion, but I don't think there will be much change for the Golden Gophers. They're already halfway through the season. The coaching expression is the hay's in the barn. They've already done the conditioning, they've already done the scheming, and 6 of Minnesota's assistants have been with Kill for at least 14 years. They're all going to know the system. They're not going to change anything mid-season. They're not going to throw anything new at the Gophers or at the Wolverines. So I think it'll be an emotionally charged game, especially at home on Halloween, a night game. But I don't think we'll see a different Minnesota team than what we would have seen if Kill was coaching.
And worth noting, both Greg Jackson and Jay Harbaugh did say today they expect Minnesota to do pretty much the exact same thing they would have done with Coach Kill, even without him.
Emotionally charged on Minnesota's side, but Michigan coming off that last-second loss against Michigan State 2 weeks ago, they've got to be playing with a little extra chip on their shoulder too.
Well, yeah, I think it goes without saying. If you win games, you can kind of coast through if you're shutting everyone out. But if you lose, especially in that fashion, and they got beat up on the lines a little bit, Michigan State did outgame them, it's a big deal. But I think this team is really pretty narrowly focused on Minnesota. And I think Royce Jenkins-Stone said it the best. He feels bad for Minnesota because that's how much extra energy they put into the bye week, they put into practices, and they're now going to put into Minnesota.
Yeah, this is a Michigan team that really feels like it had that game won and had it taken away from them. I wouldn't be surprised if they put their foot on the gas all the way through to this one until the game is well in hand. You never know really what to expect from a team coming off an emotional ride like Minnesota has, but I think we know pretty much to expect a lot from Michigan.
Well, we will see on Saturday when the Wolverines head up to take on the Golden Gophers. On the ice, the Michigan hockey team off to a good start, 3-0-1. But in net, this is a problem that's plagued them last year. Coach Berenson's been fine with it. Switching off between two guys, Racine and Nagelvoort. Racine over the weekend, allowing 5 goals, Nagelvoort only 2. Is this going to be something where they're just going back and forth, or eventually is Coach Berenson going to have to pick one of these guys, Max?
Well, if the trend continues like that, I think the choice becomes pretty easy. Granted, Racine was playing against tougher competition in Union, but Nagelvoort's been more consistent so far. I think Racine's given up 11 goals in 2 games so far.
I think it's about 9, yeah.
Okay, so it'd be very early in the year, but not loving what you're going to see from Racine if you're Red Berenson. But he has a little more experience. I think they'll let this one play out a little more in practice, but right now I think Nagelvoort's got the hot.
Yeah, I think they're going to go off of what they see in practice, not necessarily the games. Watching these games, not all of the goals, not all of Nagelvoort's goals and Racine's goals are necessarily their fault. A lot of it is how the defense plays, what kind of odd man rushes they're giving up, what kind of breakaways they're allowing. But I think, just right now, Nagelvoort is the hot hand, and I think Berenson has talked often, both last year and this year, about how he would like one goalie. He would like one dominant goalie. That's what he had when the teams were successful and they were going to the tournament every year. They had one guy. They don't currently have one guy, but I think they're going to look for it, and I would expect to see Nagelvoort in net until he shows that he can't be that guy.
All right, and finally, we'll end on the hardwood. Michigan men's basketball team about 2 weeks out from their regular season start, and they've got a new guy, the lone freshman in the class, Moritz Wagner from Berlin. This is a guy that Beeline recruited last year, brought him over kind of late, and huge guy, 6'10 and a half, but very raw talent. His coach, when he was playing in Germany, said he could be the next Dirk Nowitzki. Is this guy for real?
John Beeline certainly seems to think so. He's a great learning curve so far by all accounts, and I think something that you expect a little bit when you get a guy who's been in a professional system like Alba Berlin. But some of it, I don't know if you can really quantify how important it is to have a player who comes in and he's ready to sort of adapt as quickly as Wagner has by all accounts. Now, they don't really know where they're going to be able to play him yet, or if how much playing time is going to be available for him. But I think the more time he's able to spend in that system, it's going to be really good for Michigan.
Yeah, and John Beilein said 2 weeks ago that Wagner is one of the fastest learners he's ever been around. He picks things up faster than most of the recruits that he brings in, most of the players who are a little bit more polished. That said, they did have an open practice last week. He looked a step behind in most of the drills. He seemed to be a little out of it. It's tough because everyone else is returning, but it did seem like he was a step behind, and they had to explain things to him a little bit longer than usual. But if he picks things up as fast as Michigan coach John Beilein says he does, I do think Michigan fans can expect to see him down the road.
I'd be curious, maybe you can answer this, how Moritz's play was speed-wise in relation to the rest of the freshmen or the newcomers. Because obviously a lot of those guys have been in that system a year already.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there aren't a lot of newcomers. There's Hibbets, who didn't see too much practice action. Then there's DJ Wilson. They seemed a little bit faster, but Wagner wasn't too far behind them. And I think that's the interesting dynamic. There's one new guy, and he's very new. He's very young. He's very new to American basketball. So it'll be interesting to see. But as of right now, if they had to go to the NCAA tournament right now, I don't think Michigan fans would expect to see him play.
Not just new to American basketball, new to American culture, and he said he lives for Chipotle. I too live for Chipotle. I'm getting hungry. We'll find out this weekend how the football team does as they head up to Minnesota on the ice. We'll see who gets to start in goal, and we'll see if the big boy from Berlin can have big results for the Michigan basketball team. That's it for this edition of the Boardroom, but make sure to catch us every week and catch our content online at michigandaily.com. Cheers.